Metropolitan Police?
I don't think that they're doing it because they're anti-Semites. I don't think that the Metropolitan Police is absolutely rife with people who hate Jews, and I don't think that the frontline police officers that I encountered that Saturday hated Jews or had any animus against Jews. I need to be really clear about this. I don't blame those frontline officers. What I think is the problem is Mark Rowley has made a decision, not out of hatred of Jews, but out of a desire to make his job easy, and he's made a decision to throw Jewish Londoners under the bus in order that these demonstrations can carry on practically unchecked, and these people can have their way every single Saturday, and Jews just need to stay off the street. And that is an absolutely unforgivable betrayal of the duty of the nation, and it's an unforgivable betrayal of the Jewish community. Let's give you the full video. Let me get a response to that. Every member of the Met is determined to ensure that London is a city in which everyone feels safe. We absolutely understand how vulnerable Jewish and Muslim Londoners feel since the terrorist attacks on Israel. Some of our actions have increased this concern. I personally reiterate our apology from earlier this week. Well, his is not the only reaction. There has been quite a storm over the story. Angus Crawford is the correspondent who's covering it and has the reaction to it. Angus.
Well, disturbingly, this isn't a new argument. Since the attacks of the 7th of October and Israel's response, every weekend the politics of the Middle East has been played out on the streets of London. This has provoked debate, a lot of controversy, a lot of heat as well. So today, the former Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, writes that Sir Mark Rowley should resign. She talks about gross incompetence. It's a culture coming from the top where they allow thugs to intimidate people. The government has been more measured. Oliver Dowden, the PM, didn't call for resignation, but said the force had been disrespectful to the community. So Beverly, the current Home Secretary, has written to the Minister Khan and Sir Mark, wants to meet with them next week. The Board of Deputies of British Jews will meet Sir Mark this week, and quite recently, in the last couple of hours, Sadiq Khan has issued a statement saying everybody must feel safe going about in London wherever they please. In the end, the Met must have the confidence of the communities they serve, and it's right that they have apologised.
Angus, thanks very much indeed. Angus Crawford, correspondent, covering this story. Lord Walney is the crossbench peer, who is the government's advisor on political violence. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can I ask first of all what you thought when you saw a police officer speaking to a citizen like that, saying that he was openly Jewish?
You have a really visceral reaction to it, and I think it's important for all of us when we hear those words that we find them abhorrent, because the situation was, I'm afraid to say, much as Gideon Falter described it. He was told that he looked too openly Jewish to be on the street, and that was not intended, of course, by the officer to be a sinister statement, but it is a reflection of the sinister situation that we are in the capital and other cities across the UK. It's not acceptable, and it has to change.
Mr. Falter says that London's Jews have been thrown under a bus. Do you agree with
that? I do think that in the difficult job that the police and the politicians have to do, that no one is suggesting that it's easy to find the right balance, but it is indeed not correct at all that actually it is the Jewish community for whom very large numbers of them, a significant majority, I would say, feel deeply uncomfortable in being out in the capital and in other cities on March days. They have been told for months that actually their concerns are unfounded. There are lots of Jewish people on the march. It's all very nice and happy and peaceful. Including sometimes actually the police have echoed some of that sentiment, and actually the reality is, as Gideon Falter exposed, that simply being visibly Jewish in the sight of these demonstrations is not a safe situation to be, and we should not tolerate that as a country.
Do you have,
So
do you
there
have
does need to be a
sympathy?
rethink, I think.
Forgive me, Lord Warney. Do you have sympathy for the position that the police are in? And they're charged with keeping the peace. This is an extraordinarily charged situation very often. They're then faced with the possibility of trouble, and they have to make a very quick reaction.
Yeah, of course, I do have sympathy for the difficult job that officers are in, and the difficult position that officers are in, and they are making difficult judgments. Now, I think in operational terms, then I'm very glad to see that the Met has apologised. Well, it has two goes at the apology, but it has categorically stated that it was wrong what Mr. Poulter was told, and the fact that he was threatened with arrest simply for being there and looking Jewish was totally unacceptable. But then the bigger issue comes at the level above this, not what is happening operationally on the ground in any given moment in policing the marches. It is our attitude towards how the marches are taking place, their regularity, and the way in which they are making the majority of Jewish people in London and other cities deeply uncomfortable. And for months now, it has been said that actually that's just what has got to happen because the marches have got to go ahead. And I think we need a rethink on that. I don't think that Mark Rowley should resign at this stage. I don't think he's going to resign, but he needs to listen and he needs to change.
Lord Warney, thank you very much for coming on board this weekend. It is a rare day that Solomon Islands makes international news. 900 miles northeast of Australia, with three-quarters of a million strong Pacific nation of more than 700 islands, generally does things untroubled by the gaze of the rest of the world. But the election there this week, the votes are still being counted, is a geopolitical moment. 2 years ago, Solomon Islands signed a security cooperation agreement with China that would extend the nation's superpower's military reach in the Pacific, bringing it and its navy much closer to Australia.